morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Bloomin Girls Podcast. It is season 2, and we are here. We are in audio, we are in video, and yay, welcome. I know you guys have missed me. I've missed you too, and I'm so happy to be here. So today, on my very first guest, I'm so excited to have her on the podcast. I'm so excited to have her. It is Try to be graceful.
I'm very excited to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much, Pierre. I've not even given the intro. I had the perfect intro in my mind, like the intro of my
This works. I've now been introduced.
No, not yet. We need to go back to my dream.
Okay.
Actually, wrote it down.
Wow. This is going to be
So,
fun.
I said as I was going to introduce you, I was going to say that today with me, we have the delectable, the wise, the beautiful,
Thank you.
artistic, fantastic,
Oh my Lord.
bombastic, the writer, the international filmmaker, and the woman of God. Hallelujah! Welcome, Pastor Laju Iren.
Thank you so much for having me. Tell the history.
Yes, thank you.
Spinning me from sliding everywhere.
It's an honor to have you here. I do not take this privilege for granted. Thank you for coming on my
Yeah,
platform.
but it's an honor. Okay, well, it's an honor to have. But you're in my house, so it's an honor to have you in my home.
Wow, yes. I feel
Well, it's an honor to be on your podcast.
I feel honored to be in this holy ground.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I love you so much, so anything for you.
I remember the first time that I had a call with PL, and I remember exactly where it was. I can't remember what happened. We were supposed to schedule the call, and it was okay, we're gonna have this call. And then I was in my office. I went to the wardrobe, I shut the door, and I was like, oh my God, when I picked up, I was like, hi. I put my full on professional voice.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That was your professional voice. I just assumed that's how you sounded like when you just wake up in the morning.
That's like well, yeah, it was amazing. I've had the PL is really, really amazing, and I'm not gonna turn this into a whole distinct. I'm already gassed her. But one thing I call you in my mind is the love doctor.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like the love doctor.
Wow.
Like the Jesus love doctor.
Hey, just to.
Yeah. God, hallelujah.
One of my husband will agree to that now. Anyway, no problem. Let's go back to your mind.
But basically, so today we're going to be talking about love and other drugs. I feel like when I say love and other, it sounds so intense. But yeah, you guys get the gist. Love and other things. And my first question for you essentially is, if you could go back to your your teenage or young adult self, because I know you got married, but you got married pretty early, but what would you say to yourself? What advice would you give her, a younger Laju?
So do you know, I've asked myself this question before. I put it on Twitter today that I normally imagine myself saying,
I saw it and I was like, what are the odds?
But this is something I've rehearsed before.
Yeah.
Because I maybe what people who say, oh, what will you tell your younger self? And I think it would be absolutely nothing. Because many of the things that I know now, I know as a result of the experiences I had.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to God because I've had good experiences.
Yeah.
I haven't really had experiences that turned my life upside down. I've had difficult experiences, but really good experiences.
Yeah.
And knowing the Lord from an early age was good for me.
Yeah.
Exposing myself to materials early enough was good for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say that I'm perfect. Nobody is.
Yeah.
But I think that your mistakes and the lessons you learn and the lessons you pick from experience and what you expose yourself to along the way help you become the person that you are today. So if I were to give my younger self a cheat code, I might not be me. So I think that really, but for me, I had a really good childhood and a really good what do they call it? There's something like teenagehood. Yeah. He was adolescence. Yes. Yeah. I remember going to visit my sister at Delta State University when I was in JSU. I think she was in her 200 or 300 level, and she said pick a book to read, and I picked Pastor Bimbo Odukoya's book.
Wow. I think she was about that.
Yeah. Well, it was, I think she passed on a few years before, after that. Yeah. Right, but it was questions to ask before getting married. I can't remember the exact. My sister said, why do you bring this book? You're 13. I'm like, Well, just leave me.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's why books are important in writing them, because you really get to see people's experiences.
Yeah.
And you get to make their knowledge yours, because I don't think that experience is the best teacher. Experience is a good teacher, but then you have the Holy Ghost.
Wow.
You have the Word of God. You have books. So I think I'll just tell my younger self, you're gonna be fine. Just go as you have gone.
Yeah.
And even the mistakes that you make will help you become a better person. I think that will be it.
Wow, that is so deep, because as you were saying that, I just randomly flashed back to like all these movies, all these time travel movies, when the person goes back in time and they want to save their future self, and then they just turn into somebody completely different.
Yeah.
And then I'll say,
yeah, no, it's not your podcast, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, but like I don't want to give them free advert.
So how will we understand what you're saying now?
I would tell you, okay, I'm living Dwindle on Netflix. Right?
Okay.
When they go back in time and they want to make their dad rich and they come out, they did not even exist.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, they wanted to change things so that they come back as rich kids.
Yeah.
And then they change things and they didn't even give us.
I think that the truth is that we really can't change the past.
Yeah.
But what we can do is understand that regardless of what the past is, whether it was difficult, whether it was easy, that we have a bright future in Christ.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, let God meet you where you are now. Some people worry so much about the mistakes they've made, and they get so caught up in their past, and it stops them from going into the future that God has designed for them. Which I think is more important, because we really cannot change the past.
Yeah, true. And another thing which is so key that you said is how the things that we go through actually shape us in us. And a lot of us also like we don't give ourselves enough credit, or we don't give the experiences credit, because we want to look perfect and want to, but those things, those like imperfections and those mistakes actually make us it's like a bigger picture. It makes the picture better. It makes it like the jollof rice.
I agree totally. I think that some people worship their experiences, and some people are on the other extreme, where they don't value those experiences enough. So
true.
Because some people say, oh well, I'm just going to go about making mistakes, I'm young, so it's time to be foolish. Because you also have that too. Some people are just like, I'm young, I'm foolish.
I remember when I was in secondary school, there was this girl who said, and I hope if you're watching this, I hope you've changed. I hope you've repented early. So she said that, she was going to live wild her whole life until she turns 50.
Wow.
And then she said by the time she turns 50, then she'll turn to Christ, and then she'll be a good person.
Wow.
Because at least when she dies, she can go to heaven. It's been how many years?
It's been logic for me, like that makes sense.
But I'm sure that there are people that think that way. Like, it's like, let me just do everything. It's like, even the era that we are in now, where you see online, I don't know how much into Twitter, because I know you've just sort of come into the Twitter space.
I still don't have the app though. I only use Twitter on the web, because I feel like it's too toxic for me. So on the web, I control it.
It's really toxic. But like, people saying now it's like your whole era. And now they're advising young girls to date around because you're young. So just have as many partners as possible. And when you're in your 30s, then you can pick one.
Wow.
Yeah. It's toxic out
What
there.
wisdom is this?
I don't know. It's toxic because for me, I'm just like, where is this world going? But before I continue this conversation, I just want to say that PL is the love doctor, and PL actually has a book. And it's not PR. This is not like free PR or anything, because I remember I told her I was going to talk about the book, and she was like, but let's make this about you. No, me. PL has this amazing book called Dating Intelligently. And they have just reprinted, right?
Yes, I think for the 4th or 5th time.
Can you imagine? For the 4th or 5th time. So all of this wisdom, everything that she's saying is actually in a book. So yeah, and I'm going to like link this.
Yeah. In case you forget, the link is datingintelligently.com.
No, right? Simple.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Hashtag dating intelligent. So but what do you think about how, and then just this kind of insight that I've given you in terms of, I know that you talk to a lot of younger people, younger couples. What do you find is a growing trend in terms of like, I was talking about this earlier, saying that, lots of people now, do you find that we're more selfish? And like, because a lot of relationships, they just seem so fickle. Like, people are like, I'm choosing me. But like, you're choosing you, but you don't even want to be patient, or you don't even want to be, Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand you perfect.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I think that first of all, there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
So whatever we see, I say that it's possible that some things have existed before, but are now more obvious because of social media.
Yeah.
So possibly people have always been this selfish.
True.
But it's also possible that the selfish people have come on social media and made more people
just spreading.
So it's also possible that the selfish people have come on social media and made more people selfish. But the truth is that sin has always existed.
Yeah.
And the ability to want to put yourself first. You know, I remember doing a post one time about how important self-awareness was. But I think that more than ever before, now what we are seeing, maybe it's always existed, but now it's even clearer than ever before that people want to put themselves first. I had done a post on social media about the importance of self-awareness. And I said, whatever you do, make sure you know yourself. And someone commented and said, yes, ma'am, self-love is key. And I said, I didn't say self-love. Because she said self-love is key, self-love is the most important thing. I said, I didn't say self-love. I said self-awareness. They're two different things.
Yeah.
And it's very important to highlight the difference. Because people have been taught, put yourself first. Don't do anything that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just all you. If anybody doesn't like it, that's their business. Go after. And the truth is that there is nobody who's successfully built a good relationship over time or a good marriage that didn't have to put the other person first.
At a point.
More often than not.
Yeah.
So really, love is about sacrifice, about service. Of course, we don't want it to be in an unhealthy way where maybe your life is in danger or this person is being abusive.
Yeah.
But the truth is that love really is about two people who are willing to serve each other coming together. Yeah. And I think that more often than not, people are so concerned with what they can get from the relationship as opposed to what they can give. So, this person has XYZ amount of money. I know this person looks so good, they're going to look good for my social media. But there's so much more to love and marriage than that. So I think people should understand that when you're looking for a wife or for a husband, it's not just somebody that's going to look good on Bella Niger on Instagram photos. It's not just somebody say, I just want to get married. I'm tired of cooking.
You look them in the eye
and tell them everything that should look you guys in the eye and tell them that when you're trying to choose this spouse, when you're trying to choose someone who's getting them good on social media, right? And that's the reason why you can't just choose a spouse based on how they look. How or the amount of attention they'll bring to you, because when it all comes down to it, it's who this person is in private and in secret. That's what matters. That's who you're married to. And so it's very, very important that we understand that a marriage and relationship is not about putting yourself first, and that there is more to marriage and relationship than the exterior or the external. I think people forget that a lot. Just this bobo on hands, handsome.
Stop.
Like, okay, what else? How does this person being handsome relate? How does it relate to them being kind? Being patient, being sacrificial? What is it about the way their beard is that tells you they're going to be loyal to you? What is about the way these girls' hips are shaped that tell you, no, this lady will support me through thick and thin. Like she has a strong foundation. So the truth is that I truly believe that because I married someone I'm attracted to, so attraction is important. Should I say that again? Say it out. Well, not to enter people's eyes. Nobody enter that. Close down. If you don't close down, angels will close out. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm really not.
No, she's not. You know why?
Okay, this is fun. So but I think that people are taught selfishness more than ever before. And then even in the body of Christ, there are some people who make it look as if that's God's way. Who make it look as if God. It's true that God wants you to be happy. But beyond that, He wants you to be submitted to Him, to have a lasting joy that is in Him first and foremost. And so I think people are just largely selfish, and selfishness. Two selfish people cannot make a marriage work. So there has to be, I'm not saying that you just throw yourself under the bus. So there has to be a healthy amount of love for yourself. But it must first of all come from a love for the Lord and from seeing yourself the way He sees you. And then understanding that that's when you can now be there for someone else. And I think then of course when you're bringing stuff to the table, it's not just your looks or your money. What kind of person are you? And so while you are saying, start yourself to be a quality human being. And I've answered so many things before.
Honestly, she has. Well, I'm gonna get to that point, but I just briefly want to touch on this whole trending video that we were talking about a few days ago, about the whole Michelle Obama video, and it was very interesting for me the backlash that video got, because I felt like, and we spoke about it, it was common sense. Like, there was nothing necessarily negative of what she was saying, and essentially, if you've not seen the video, I'll just like say, you know, she was talking about, you know, what it was like in marriage. They've married for 30 years, and in 10 years of the marriage, it was a bit tough because childbearing and all that, the sacrifices that she had to make. And I feel like if you're married to, and then people sort of turn into a gender war, but I feel like if you're married to somebody who is, which I'm sure you can relate to, and I also can relate to, but if you're married to somebody who, and vice versa, if you're married to someone who is like the president of the United States, or, you know, the lead pastor of Celebration Church, for example, as an example, there are certain things.
I like how you put it high up. Anyway, of course, like, like I saw it.
I don't even know what to say to you. Please put it on.
Oh my God.
Well, basically, there are sacrifices that you're going to have to make just because it is what it is. And then I thought about it as reverse. And if one day we do have the first female president of the United States, the first husband will have to take on certain responsibilities as well. And I find that, do you think that people, and this is just a tiny play on gender roles, do you feel like there would have been more backlash if it was a man saying, oh, you know, if this was her job and this is what she was doing, and I had to now take some time to sacrifice? Do you find that people would have had backlash?
I find that you cannot please people.
Wow.
Like,
we just need to let's just and just drop the mic right here.
I find that you cannot please people, and I was thinking about it a lot this week, not just on this matter, but on a lot of different topics, and how it is those who haven't done it, or who haven't done it to a particular extent, that always want to tell us how it should be done.
Yes.
They don't want to suggest, they want to insist. Right? And if you ask anybody who's been married to a great person, and of course we'll say everybody's great, like, but I'm referring to maybe somebody who's in the public eye or has a very stressful job, you need to understand that, first of all, both of you are a team. And so the fact that this person is the one who is on the front line doesn't make me less of a person, just means that I'm privileged to support this person in this particular area. And I don't need to get my flowers from people. Right? I get my flowers, first of all, from God who called me, and then from the person who I'm working on the marriage with. And the truth is that even when the other person might not be 100% understanding of what my role is, like, because like you can support someone and you don't always get it every single time. There are times when my husband bends over backwards to support me, and I'm like, oh, and you didn't do this. So I think and then sometimes it's the other way. I feel like I went out of my way and you didn't really show me. So but the truth is that when it comes down to a marriage, the two people inside understand what it takes to build it. And I think that's it. I think that having an opinion on every single person's marriage doesn't really do you a lot of good. But really figuring out what works for you and what works for your home. And there's something Michelle said. I may not agree with everything because I haven't read her book and I didn't watch the whole clip.
So I just saw that bit. That's why I said, like, it's
so I'm very particular about what I endorse or do not endorse. I don't think I would agree with everything that Michelle Obama agrees with. But I would say there's something she said about how they've been married 30 years, right? And so even if 10 of those years were not so great, the 20 that were, she would take them. And I think it was when we were having, I think, our pastor's wives talk. I would say everything we said there. But we had like tea now or breakfast for pastor's wife. And I think there was a topic.
Sorry, before you go, people are always saying, I will not marry a pastor, I don't marry pastors.
No, but if you're a believer, you're saying you marry a pastor. It bothers me because I'm like, so you're saying that God cannot call his son because you're married to him.
Wow.
And that's the thing. So are you saying God can't call you as a woman to ministry? Because like if you also said I would never. So we have to be very careful when you're saying things. Are you saying God cannot call his own son because of you, because you're a wife? Like, how does that add up? But back to our point, I think one thing that we eventually all agreed on, which I mentioned, was that even when this particular person doesn't measure up in XYZ areas, I look at everything and I say, the areas that you measure up, like, you're still this great guy who loves me, who supports me, who does XYZ, who is XYZ.
Yeah.
And even if maybe the other XYZ percent is not 100%, like, but you're still the same person. I'll still choose you. I still want to be married to you regardless. And I think that when my spouse looks at me, I believe, and I hope, I truly believe that that's the same thing, where he says, well, this girl can be stubborn, but in all these other areas, she's still amazing. I will still have chosen her. And I think that it was very refreshing to hear Michelle say that, because not many people are as honest. But the truth is that in marriage, you don't always have like that 50-50 measuring on both sides.
Yes, it's not. I don't think it's
possible. Because some people say, oh, it's an unhealthy relationship, this person doesn't meet you 50% every time. But the truth is, sometimes you're going to go 80, the person will come 20. And sometimes the person will come 85 and you're just coming 15. So when it comes down to it, it's about the teamwork, the joint effort. And the joint effort may not always be 50-50 on both sides. Sometimes it is. And in a dating relationship, I hope that you see 50-50 more than you see 90-10. Especially in a dating relationship. Not that you're in a dating relationship and then you hear that, oh, on the Bloomin Girls Podcast, I said I can do 90-10 and they can do... I'm just saying that generally, like I always say, courtship is a time to love intelligently, marriage is a time to love blind. And the reason why you can be confident and comfortable doing 90-10 or 80-20 at times in marriage is because you've seen this person in a dating relationship and you can trust that this person has given me 100% when I had 0 to give. Do you understand? But not that you just marry anybody and you keep to, or you now consider dating someone that's not bringing anything to the table, that isn't, I'm not even referring to money now, or somebody who isn't giving as much energy as you are giving and saying, okay, well, it doesn't really matter. Because some people take initiative from the beginning of dating relationship and they continue to take initiative in marriage. So there are some red flags you must watch out for in a dating relationship. But when it does come down to it, yes, both of you need to be on the same page. But in marriage, there are times where it's a lifelong relationship. And so that means that there are times when, well, things can be difficult. But don't just give up so easily. If you give up so easily, you won't be able to build a marriage.
So nobody's perfect at the end of the day, right? And I think we expect perfection even when we're not perfect. And that's my issue with this whole generational, like, where everybody's so selfish. Because it's like, you're so selfish, but like, you're not even perfect. So why would you expect this person to be 100%? They need to wake up and think about you. They need to wake up and call you. But like,
are you waking up and thinking about them though? So okay, well.
you expect so much of, and I feel like our gender, because obviously this is very feminine. My viewers are more feminine, but I don't like to be dishonest, because I feel like as women we don't actually tell ourselves the truth a lot of the time. We don't tell. There are extremes, but like a lot of the time, what we're getting is he needs to do this, he needs to do that. So the moment you feel like he's not doing this or you're not even doing anything. What do you bring to the table? People will say,
I am the table.
What does that even mean?
I think what they mean, although sometimes extra, but I think what they mean is that they have value in themselves, which is true. So you don't want to be with somebody who doesn't see the value, the intrinsic value in you.
Okay.
But okay, so you have value, he has value. But like, can you contribute?
Because if we turn the thing around, right, and then we say,
and the guy says,
what you mean to the guy that says, I'll take it. You're like,
but why anybody should be asking anybody in a relationship what they bring to the table? Like, before you ask this person out, didn't you like see what they were bringing to the table? So anyway, both genders, God will help us.
God honestly help us. Yeah, honestly. Okay, so this has been amazing. So now I'm just going to round off with some questions. So like, I asked my followers on Instagram, I'm like, guys, I'm actually going to have PL on my podcast. Everybody was like, no way.
Why would they say no way when you and I are tight?
I know.
What is no way?
I'm just trying to be extra. You know.
No. That battle is right. For our fellow followers to get on our podcast. Right away. That's right. You have to do this. You have to do that. No way. If you want me to come next week, I will come. I can even be also the podcast people. I can't do that.
I was trying to. You know how when you're writing a story, a film, you put
So you were embellishing the truth.
Glory. That's it.
Pastor's wife is embellishing. CCI Abuja people.
I was building the plot.
Okay. I will chew it.
Basically, to the people, I asked people and then they've asked us a few questions. So I will just pick 2 or 3.
Okay.
Really good ones, and then we can just talk about that. So this person says, so it's quite straightforward. The person says, how do you break up with someone wisely when they're not the one?
So I won't say that's a brilliant question. I now remember that I said that's how I rehearse all my questions in my head. So that is a brilliant question. So in dating intelligently, I talk about red flags and how to know when to give someone the gift of goodbye. Because some people seek the perfection that they don't have in another person. And so they break up so easily. So one, I would say that you shouldn't be afraid to break off a dating relationship, because a broken courtship is better than a broken marriage.
Yeah.
But some people have no staying power at all. So I would say be on the lookout for red flags.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for red flags, and some of those red flags definitely physical abuse. I'm very careful when people say emotional abuse or verbal abuse, because that word has been bastardized. Some people are actually emotionally abusive, but some people take emotional abuse to mean this person is correcting you and you don't want to accept correction. So you want to correct them and expect them to accept correction. So you saw some people take emotional abuse to mean that people tend to twist it. So I'm always very careful. But for something like physical abuse, it's not difficult to understand. When somebody slaps you, they say, maybe I thought he was slapping you, but it was
the corner that you grabbed my hand. That was
I thought she was throwing a glass at me, but she really wasn't. It was all in my head.
Into the sink.
So
my head was in the way.
Yeah, she even thought it was a plastic cup.
Exactly.
So, and then of course, if there's a crisis of faith, if you are so uneasy in your spirit about it, if the people you love and trust for good reason keep telling you that this might not be a good idea, so that's something to take under advisement. So I think you must first of all choose wise reasons to break up. So if you're breaking up wisely, it must be because you have wise reasons to break up, or there's just uneasiness every time you pray about this. That's a red flag. Do you understand? But some people break up over the smallest things. They break up because they want to win an argument. They don't want to apologize, so they say, I'm going to end the relationship, and it's a form of manipulation. So you must break up for the right reasons. It might even be because for you don't feel like you are ready to really commit. That's also a good reason to end the relationship. So definitely you must have the right reasons. Another thing that I will say is how you go about the breakup. So I don't believe that, like, you can talk about your relationship on social media, but I feel like there needs to be some balance. Like, you need to have some restrictions. Like, not everything should be public. Not everything should be on Twitter. Like, not every single thing should be. I think people need to learn how to guard their private lives. So you definitely don't want to do it publicly. And I feel like if you're already ending a relationship, you're ending it. You don't have to call this person names. You don't have to be unnecessarily rude to them. Like, you're parting ways. And sometimes the way people end relationships or treat people says more about them than about the person they're ending the relationship with. So even if it's a bad breakup, you still want, even if the person did you dirty, you don't want them to change who you are. So I think just really being cordial about it. Some people maybe need to run away for the sake of their lives and things like that. That's a totally different scenario. So, but I think that generally speaking, if it's a normal situation where it doesn't work. You don't have to badmouth this person to the entire world simply because it didn't work out.
Just being mature.
And I think that when you want to end the relationship, you should end the relationship. Because there's this thing Christians do where they say, God, if this relationship is not for me, just break it, just scatter it. And once in a while it does happen that way. But when you enter the relationship, you didn't just wake up and say, wow, I'm in a relationship. It's a miracle. Like, you said yes. You said yes, or you asked someone out. So why should God miraculously break it? without your consent. Like, you should just break it. Like, you entered with your 2 eyes, so you can come out with your 2 eyes. And I think some people drag on relationships that should have ended for long because of that indecision, or they know the right thing to do, but they'll just keep asking questions. Every podcast, every meeting, keep asking and asking. And some people do it because they're holding off so they can find somebody. But what happens is sometimes somebody new comes and the space is occupied, so they walk away.
Somebody responsible.
So I think that people need to be okay with being single. Better nobody than the wrong somebody.
Wow. And my PL is giving us gems.
Why?
Too much gems. So this person says, is there an issue? So I actually also find that I was in this phase as well. But do you feel, and I felt very ashamed about it, so I'll ask you the question. So it says, is there an issue with desiring marriage? Like, I'm not desperate, and I'm not desperate about finding a husband, but like I really desire it. I do really desire it, and I desire to want to. And she said, if all the guys I've dated keep dating, let me start from the beginning. So it's a long one. So she said, what will be her advice? What will be your advice, PL, to a lady whose partners shared his struggles with porn and masturbation? B. So that's the first question. And then she said, if all the guys I've dated keep saying you're the type of girl any man would wish. What? They don't want to commit.
Okay.
And
I think that's so many questions in one.
So should I worry?
So I'll start by saying the Bible says that marriage is honorable in all things. And I think there's nothing wrong. I know that there's nothing wrong with desiring marriage. Marriage is a good thing, and it should be desired. But some people take that maybe to a point of desperation, where they're asking every guy, are you single? Is this person single? Are you like so? And there's a way desperation pushes the right people away and attracts the wrong people to you. So you want to make sure that you are not desperate. Because once you are desperate, you are more likely to make a wrong choice. So if the person says she's not desperate, I think that's good. But there's nothing wrong with being, because some girls also have this vibe. They don't want to seem desperate, so they go the other extreme. But they say, I don't want to marry. I've never been there. Like even you are answering questions that nobody asks you. Just see your friend as a guy and say, I will never date you. I'll never, like, who asked you? Then when they friend zone you, like you cry that you be friend zoned. So I think that marriage is honorable. It should be desired. And the truth is that God sees our hearts and He hears our prayers. And then when you desire marriage but you're not desperate about it, you still give off a vibe. Like you behave in a way that makes you attractive, and that's a good thing. And don't let anybody marriage shame you.
Exactly. It happens a lot. I felt very marriage shame. Well, not necessarily marriage shame, but I felt like, because people would mention and say, oh, it's something that you really wanted. I had to make it look as if I was there and I was like married. But in my mind, I just felt like it was something that I desired, and I was happy to be in it. But like, it's just a thing of people just make it, the moment it's something you want, it's like, she's, get what I mean? So definitely I'm all for balance. But don't let anybody marriage shame you. Marriage is not everything. But marriage is not nothing. It is a big deal. Hashtag. And I think that we really need to see the value in marriage, because if you don't see the value in marriage, you might get married, but it won't last. So there's a thread I did on Twitter a while back, and I said marriage is a privilege, and I started it with a couple of disclaimers. I said I didn't say that only privileged people can get married. I didn't say that single people are not privileged. I didn't say people who are married are better than people who are single. But if you will have a marriage that works, you must see it as a big deal. Definitely not the biggest deal in life, but a big deal, because that is what helps you work on it. That's what helps you choose right. And that's what helps you wake up every day and choose to serve this person, because somebody gave you the privilege of spending their life with you. And that's whether you're a man or a woman. And I think it must go both ways, where men must see marriage as a privilege and women must see marriage as a privilege. And I didn't say it's the greatest privilege of all. Singleness is a privilege. Exactly. But right now, the point I'm making is to see marriage as a big deal. So no, it's not something that you should be ashamed of desiring. I think plan B was if you're seeing somebody, question B, but if you're seeing somebody who has struggles with pornography or masturbation, I think that it's always better to hand that person over to a trusted pastor or counselor. You can't help your partner out of pornography or masturbation.
In fact, what will happen is that maybe you guys start watching together. Yeah, or you guys start sleeping together to help deal with the issue. So I've never really seen it work where, oh, my girlfriend or my boyfriend helped me overcome pornography or masturbation. I also have, because it's an area I've struggled with personally in the past, and God helped me, overcame. I also have a free resource on my website, lajuiren.com, called the Habits Notes. So that's something that you can also recommend to them. But I think that getting someone to counsel and to really help this person in their walk of faith and in overcoming that addiction, I think is extremely important. I can't remember the third question the person said.
Well, I'll tell you the third question, but I want to touch on something. I find that a lot of people, because I had a similar situation recently where somebody said, this was the struggle, but the person didn't necessarily feel like they could talk to anybody about it. And for me, when I heard it, I just felt like we live in a generation now where majority of us have this struggle. I feel like if people were honest, and there was a statistic that came out saying probably about 60% of people in the church are struggling with this thing. And I'm sure that statistics in America, I'm sure that statistics is more, that the numbers are higher. So if we understand that a lot of us struggle, the shame should reduce. Do you understand? The moment you understand that there are actually more people like me out there, then you are more inclined to actually because shame can help in secrecy, right? And I feel like that's one of the tricks the devil uses, where it's like you just feel like, why can't people think this of me? But at the end of the day, like you just said, you had a struggle. I've had a lot of people have had a struggle, and we've come out of it either from talking, most of the time from sharing it. And because I remember watching your video, and it helped me at that time, because I felt like I've actually never seen. It's mostly men come out to talk about it, but I felt like, wow, this is something that you didn't know this, right? I just cut you off, guys.
No. Like, no, something else is my face is like that. But yeah, I'm pissed. I'm so sorry. My mind is all on you, my daddy. I'm cutting you now.
So what I'm saying is, the moment that we can understand that everybody is struggling with this thing, so there's no need for us to pass that our parents' generation time. We have younger people who are counseling. We have younger people who you can actually talk to. So why are we suffering?
And I think that the devil has taken advantage of that secrecy. Because now we have people who say, just only use your full chest. There's nothing wrong with these things. Everybody's doing it. So because those of us who are in the faith have been so hush-hush about our struggles, the devil says, you can talk about it now. There's nothing wrong there. And then you now have people who say, okay, since it's happening to everybody and it's difficult for me, let me just do it and own it that everybody does it. So I think really opening up will help that person.
Okay, so I'll just round up. I
think that the third question.
Okay, the third question is, this is the question. She said, if all the guys I've dated, you are the type of girl Eddie Mad should wish for, but then when it comes to her, should I worry?
I would say that the men are right, in the sense that eventually you're only going to marry one person. And there are some people who are lucky enough to marry the first serious boyfriend, and some people who are lucky enough to not marry the first serious boyfriend. I truly believe that people should go into dating relationships with marriage in mind, but that doesn't mean that you must marry that person, so that you don't find yourself in an unhealthy situation and say, which is a question that somebody had even asked, that I said I must marry my first boyfriend. I think you showed that to me before we started, so I would also touch on that. So there's a tendency to say, I must marry my first boyfriend, and so the relationship is not going well. You're seeing unhealthy signs, you're seeing red flags, but because you promised yourself that you must marry your first boyfriend, you are now staying there. So I think we must also be careful about the choices that we make, and not just say, I said I must marry the first person I slept with. And granted, you shouldn't have had sex out of wedlock, but that shouldn't be enough for you to choose a spouse. Somebody say, I said I was going to get married to the person I got pregnant for. And while you shouldn't even be having sex out of marriage in the first place, but some people will now make temporary mistakes, permanent mistakes, where you know that there's no way you should have married this person. He has been beating you before you started dating, or when you started dating, before you got pregnant, before you got engaged, and then you say, because of the children. So we must be very, very careful not to let our past define us in such a way that they begin to cause us to make decisions that are detrimental to us in the future. But I was saying that to say, this question this person asked, that the truth is that they are right. It's one person you are going to marry. And so if you truly see the value in yourself, be patient. the right person will see it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people also give off this vibe, maybe because there is some desperation on their end. So I don't know you personally, so I can't really say. But it happens. It happens to people that are desperate. It also happens to people that are not desperate.
Maybe she's just in the wrong circle. Sometimes I also found that when I was in the world. So
you were in the world before. Wow. I'm learning things today.
But that's not, it was uni days, and I remember I was in the wrong circles, right? I was in the wrong circles, and but I still, there was definitely still a presence about me, because even in those circles, people were like, no, this girl is in a church girl, this girl, even though I was not really in that circle, but there was just an aura about me that people still got. So some people would still feel like you're not my type, because I wouldn't. Even though I was there, I still had my morals. I still had my values. So they felt like I wasn't that kind of girl, because I was not going to sleep with you. I was not going to do as I wasn't going to do. So she could be in a situation where maybe she's just finding herself in the wrong circle, and maybe she's fervent. Maybe she's like a proper Christian.
So change your friends. Because
some people say, this one, no. Because I remember I saw it. Twitter a post, and this guy said his red flag is, wait for it, the moment that he sees that his girlfriend is becoming too spiritual. That's red flag.
That one is not looking for a wife, he's looking for a girlfriend.
And I thought, what? I know that people don't necessarily believe in the same things, but like for me, I'm like, you don't even understand the disservice you're putting yourself in. So you're looking for someone that is like, I don't even know what you're looking at. So the moment she starts to pray, the moment she starts to get serious with her walk, that's when it's a red flag.
That guy is a red flag. This one is even white. He's on like tomato.
Exactly. So yeah, maybe you just need to change your circle. And then just the final question as we round off.
Okay, we're taking all the other questions.
Should we take all the other questions?
Yeah. How many are there?
There are many. Okay, let's take 2.
All right. No.
Okay. All right. So this one I really like.
Let's take 3.
Okay.
I'll keep them short.
Okay. So this person says, and I feel like this actually relates to a lot of people living outside the country. Because I find that the dating scene outside the country is and I experienced it personally, there's just something about it. So this person said, how do you handle the space of being interested in a relationship, but there's nobody around that has the traits that you're looking for in a partner?
So this person needs to put herself out there.
How? If they feel like there's nobody there.
That's uncoming now.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I think I have one of the sons of the ministry who stays in a place called Faraway Land. Okay. Like, it made the place even sounds rather. It sounds like Nigerians are with them maybe too. And the truth is that while you can date people who are from anywhere in the world, it's easier to relate to people who are from at least the same nation, and then definitely the same faith. So the truth is that when a time when people are scattered abroad, I think because we're both Nigerians, so it makes sense that mostly Nigerians have listened to this podcast. But if you're not from Nigeria, so we're speaking to Nigerian people, but we know this is an international podcast.
Our accent.
You don't understand but our voice, so you don't understand the accent. I don't know. Where was I? So I think you need to put yourself out there more. How? Thankfully, we're also in a social media time where the world really is globalized and is a smaller place because of social media. So you need to start getting on those Zoom Bible study meetings. People would recommend Christian dating sites. I don't know anyone I can recommend, so I wouldn't say anything about that. But I don't know. It might be an option for you. Just be sure to put the right checks and balances in place. When you come home and your mom says, "Follow me for a wedding," follow her. Don't just say, "Mommy, I'm so tired." Like, maybe your husband or your wife is waiting for you in that wedding. So really putting yourself out there. Because there are Nigerian communities everywhere, and so sometimes you may not be able to do that physically, but you can do it virtually. But really putting, because your husband might come and meet you at home, but he needs that social media connect to be. Many people have met their spouses via DM.
My spouse on Twitter.
See? And she was living in Dubai.
Yeah, no, Nigeria.
Yeah, wow. So some people wrote it's not a new testimony, but it is. It is a testimony.
I don't know how this came up. Anyway, let's not talk about this.
I'm not here next to you. It's not just about where you are, it's about who you're with.
Glory.
And where God has sent you. Yeah, so teaching a moment right now. So really, sometimes people really need to put themselves out there because that's the nature of life.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so this other person says, is it bad? So, and this is also going back to one of the things that you said about how if the people around you don't necessarily like the person that you're with, you should check it. So now this person is saying, and then this is where we tackle extremes, but this person is saying, is it bad to depend solely on people's approval regarding your relationship?
Yes, it's very bad to depend solely.
So
you remember I said if people around you who are wise, I think I said that, but I know I definitely said with good reason.
Yes.
I think that for every aspect of your life, you need to have a mind of your own. A mind that is trained and led by the Spirit of God and is still supported by good advice.
Yeah.
So there's a place where the wisdom of God, good advice, and common sense meet, and I think that's where wisdom dwells.
Yes.
And it's very, very important that you at least have a mind of your own, because even if you choose the right partner, if you don't have a sound mind, you're going to mess the whole thing up.
Yeah.
So I think it's very, very important that in your daily decisions, there is just that wisdom, that discernment, that strength and ability to take decisions, not just solely on what anybody else says. I think that's important.
Yeah.
But then when you have that, it's also important to still surround yourself with wise counsel. Like, I don't believe in you just send a picture or a name to your pastor. Sometimes maybe God can warn your pastor. I don't doubt that. But I remember somebody saying, I want to date someone. I want to send you a name. I want to send you a picture. I said,
no way.
Yeah, I said, I was like, you've not really been coming to CCI. Because sometimes when God gives us a warning about a particular couple, but many times those spiritual warnings almost always come with physical signs.
Exactly.
They almost always, so like, they almost, maybe the person is so in love that they are so blinded,
exactly.
They almost always come with physical signs. So I think that for your life, not just relationships, your life in general, you want to be able to make decisions without solely relying on someone else. What if the person is not there and you need to make a decision urgently? So, but I think that listening to good advice is also important. So you have to find that balance, but it must be what has God told you first, what are your personal convictions, and then you make decisions based on that.
Yeah.
And then you open your eyes and look at this person, because marriage doesn't change people. It only amplifies who they really are. So sometimes if somebody shows you who they are, kindly believe them.
Quickly.
Kindly be. It's like, some people will tell you, I'm not a one woman man. I'm not.
And he's told
you like straight, like I can't, like I'm not like this. Someone else will say I'm not, but I'm only doing it because of you. Well, start with what they told you about themselves first, because it's going to come up later.
Yeah,
right?
It
always does. So when people show you who they are, actually really believe them.
Yeah.
And then wise counsel, trust God, pray, watch.
Yeah.
And God will help you.
Yeah, like someone said, like, Pastor Felix Additional said, you should pray with one eye open and then watch with because it's true.
Yeah.
You watch and pray. So I'm actually having so much fun with Phil.
Me too.
Yes, right? So we'll just round off with this last question, which I think it's a nice way to round up. So the person is saying, how do you overcome the fear of being in a relationship?
That's a good question. So I will start by saying prayer. I think that prayer is important. But prayer alone is not all it's going to take, because there's a spiritual aspect to these things, which prayer does help you. In fact, prayer might help you expose the emotional aspect which you now have to deal with.
Yeah.
So prayer definitely, but then it's also good to find the source of that fear. Does it come from childhood trauma?
Exactly.
Does it come from what you've seen other people's relationships?
Yeah.
And then when you find that, then you're able to point out and say, oh, it's because of what happened with my parents, or what happened with my siblings, or what happened when I was a child, and then proper counseling. And then many times reading books taking courses, working on yourself. Because what many people do is they're afraid to get into a relationship. Then they enter a relationship simply to overcome the fear.
Wow.
Like, oh, I'm scared. They're like, I'm just gonna do it afraid.
Yeah.
And so what eventually happens is, because to some extent fear is good.
Yeah.
Fear is the reason why you're cooking and you don't leave your hand on the fire. Fear is the reason why when you're climbing the stairs, you look at where you're going to. So there's a healthy kind of fear, not the extreme kind of fear. But what a lot of people do is they're afraid of a relationship because of some trauma of the past. So that's why you see that people who had abusive fathers eventually end up with abusive boyfriends. Because now they want to escape that trauma or that fear, and then they jump in without looking. So for example, if someone is trying to escape a burning building, they jump down, and then it doesn't really matter to them like how many stairs is this, I might die. Which is what someone, if the building was not, I think so too, and I just came up with it. Like ghost and wisdom. Wow. Depth for me. Which, if the building was not burning, you wouldn't jump down like that. So I feel like don't just use a relationship to overcome your fear of being in a relationship. Deal with the root issue first, so that you don't end up choosing wrongly, and so that even when you choose right, you don't frustrate the relationship so much because of your, for lack of a better word, okay, I won't say baggage, I'll say issues. So work on yourself. And I think working on yourself is so important. Why do I act the way I do? Why am I insecure about XYZ? Why do I feel hurt when my friend's talking to somebody else? I'm gonna carry this trauma into a dating relationship. Maybe I should deal with it now. My husband and pastor always say, somebody tells you they love you, ask them who else have they loved. In other words, how are they treating their siblings? How are they treating their friends? How are they in their other relationships? And sometimes being in other non-romantic relationships will help us and give us the tools we need to handle dating relationships better.
Right. Wow. This has been so amazing. And I wish I could have PL forever. I mean, I do have PL forever.
Yes, you do have me.
Like, I wish I could have her on this podcast forever. She's going to be back.
Am I going to be back? Yes, I am going to be back.
I don't know when. Maybe next time you come to Abuja, I'll grab you for another.
So you can't fly me in just for the podcast?
I can fly you in. I can fly you PL money. Hashtag PL money.
No, this is a lady team money.
Oh, sorry. My mind.
Tony tells me the difference. The S in tones is a $sign. Hi!
I received.
Take it.
I received. That was not from me. Got it from the from the realm.
Yes, please. It's our money, yes, still.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bloomin Girls Podcast. We are so happy to have you listen to us and watched us. I'm so used to saying listening because it was audio, but now we're virtual. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you had a great time. Please remember to follow us on Instagram at the Bloomin Girls Pod. This is going to be on YouTube as well. You're probably watching on YouTube, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we just can't wait for you to watch the next episode. See you then.
We did it!